The movie Death, Race, Introduction. Hey there. Today, I want to tell you about this cool movie called Race. It's about a guy named Jensen who finds himself in a tough situation. Let's dive into the story. Jensen's arrival in prison. So, Jensen enters the prison, and right away, we notice that he's covered in tattoos. As soon as he steps into his cell, one of the people inside starts bothering him, while another person gives him a sly wink. It looks like they have their own way of welcoming new prisoners. All of a sudden, a fight breaks out inside the cell, and chaos ensues. The prison guards rush over to see what's happening. They find one of the prisoners lying on the ground, pretending to be asleep. Meanwhile, Jensen is just observing everything without any fear. This prison is no joke, guys. It's one of the most heavily guarded prisons out there, and all the prisoners inside are dangerous criminals. Every single one of them has committed a crime. Scary stuff. On Jensen's second day in prison, he goes to the dining hall for lunch. Out of nowhere, a bald man approaches him. The two people who were sitting with Jensen quickly leave, as if they know something is about to go down. This bald guy starts spitting in Jensen's food, trying to provoke him. But guess what? Jensen stays calm and doesn't want to get into trouble on his first day. As if things weren't bad enough, another man comes up to Jensen and accuses him of killing his wife. He asks if Jensen did it because of treason. This makes Jensen really angry because it reminds him of the real reason why his wife was killed by an unknown gunman. Suddenly, a policeman shows up and arrests Jensen for carrying the same knife that was used to kill his wife. Talk about a tough break. Jensen can't take it anymore. He gets into a fight with the guy who accused him and starts throwing punches. Just when things couldn't get any worse, the bald man joins in and starts attacking Jensen too. It turns into a big, violent quarrel between them. Thankfully, the prison guards finally arrive and surround the prisoners. They manage to break up the fight and restore order. One of the guards approaches Jensen and tells him that he will receive some consequences for his actions. And that's where we'll leave it for now, my middle school friends. I hope you enjoyed this exciting glimpse into the movie, Race. Stay tuned for more thrilling adventures. Once upon a time, there was a guy named Jensen who got in trouble for hitting bald men. The guards were not happy with him, so they took him to the office of the warden, Lisa. But here's the twist. Jensen was not just an ordinary guy. He was actually a professional race car driver. The prison used to organize a car race called Race of the Century that allowed some violence. It was a big deal and brought in a lot of money through live broadcasts. In the previous races, there was a professional masked driver who always won. He was incredibly popular, but sadly, he died before finishing his fifth race. The warden, Lisa, wanted to keep the viewership high, so she came up with a plan. Lisa tried to convince Jensen to wear the mask and pretend to be the famous driver in the upcoming race. She promised to get him out of prison if he won. Jensen had his own reasons for wanting to leave prison. He wanted to avenge his wife's death. So, he agreed to the proposal. Jensen had a team of 3 people who would help him in the race. One of them explained the rules to him. The race was divided into 3 rounds, and Jensen had to eliminate as many competitors as possible in the first 2 rounds. In the final round, he had to reach the finish line alive. In the race, speed was the most important thing. Jensen had to be faster than everyone else to have a chance at winning. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was determined to give it his all. As Jensen and his team prepared for the race, they encountered some suspicious individuals. One of them was called Cannon Face, but little did he know that they had switched the masked contestant. Cannon Face decided to stay away from them to avoid trouble and left with his friends. While waiting for the race to begin, Jensen noticed something strange. The prisoners arriving at the prison had something on their hands. It made him remember something important, but what could it be? Once upon a time, there was a man named Jensen. He was determined to find out who killed his wife. Jensen discovered that the people responsible for his wife's death had a connection with some other people who were now in prison. To get closer to the truth, Jensen decided to go to the prison. When Jensen arrived at the prison, he noticed that some female prisoners had a special mission. One of the girls even rode in the car with Jensen. She revealed that they had replaced the masked man who was part of the race. She also complimented Jensen, saying he looked better than the previous contestant. The prison warden was secretly monitoring the situation. She brought the prisoners to the race to act as guides and boost the live broadcast's viewership. But she had something else up her sleeve. At the beginning of the race, there were 9 large armored cars ready to go. When the race started, the cars zoomed off at high speed. The sound of tires rubbing against the ground filled the air, and the cars collided with each other. Jensen quickly took the lead, but the race was intense and unpredictable. Any contestant could change the outcome at any moment. Suddenly, the cannonball car crashed into Jensen's car, causing them both to swerve out of the way. Meanwhile, the prison warden decided to change the rules of the race. She activated the sword and shield plan. The sword symbolized a powerful weapon that would randomly strike other cars when the drivers pressed a button. The shield symbol represented a protective barrier that would explode if hit by another car. The race became even more competitive and thrilling with these new additions. The drivers had to be strategic and quick to survive. As the race continued, the warden introduced more obstacles. There was a button with a skull mark that, when pressed, created a barrier. If a car hit this barrier, it would explode. Additionally, there was a shield button that, when pressed, released oil on the ground, making it difficult to drive. The race was filled with excitement and danger. Cars were shot at, and drivers had to navigate through various challenges to stay in the race. Wow, what a race it was! This was the second time someone got knocked out of the competition. The race was super intense, and a lot of people were watching it live on TV. Jensen, one of the racers, showed off his amazing driving skills. He had to think fast to save himself from danger. He removed a small shield from his car to protect it, and it worked. But then something unexpected happened. Jensen asked a girl to sit on his leg. Why? Well, he needed her help to pull a trigger on the side of his chair. It was a clever move because he managed to drop some wine on the driver behind him. And guess what? The girl turned on a lighter and threw it at the driver's car. Boom! It caught fire. While all this chaos was happening, another racer approached Jensen and made a gesture. Jensen was shocked because this person was making the same gesture as the one who killed his wife. Jensen had found out that the person who killed his wife was working in the prison. And now, it seemed like everything was arranged by the prison warden. As the race went on, only 6 contestants managed to survive. Jensen knew that things had to change before the next race. But to his surprise, the prison warden pressured him to complete the race. Jensen had no other choice but to keep going. Jensen turned to the girl who was with him and asked her about the weapon malfunction and who killed the masked man in the previous race. It turned out that the girl had signed an agreement from the start. She had destroyed Jensen's weapon in the race because she didn't want him to win. Her goal was to keep him in prison and prevent his release. Jensen was furious. He decided to take matters into his own hands and get revenge on the contestant who tried to kill him. He slammed on the brakes and drove his car at full speed, crashing into the other racer's car with all his might. They exchanged fire for a long time. Once upon a time, there was a race between 2 contestants named Jensen and Cannon. Jensen had a weapon so powerful that it made his opponent crash into a concrete barrier, causing his car to overturn. Despite the warning from the girl with him, Jensen put on a mask and got out of his car. He was determined to show his defiance. He even convinced the prison warden that no one could compete with him, which led to the use of an armored vehicle in the race. The armored vehicle, called Cannon, was incredibly powerful. It fired 2,000 rounds per second and could destroy any car in seconds. The race quickly turned into a powerful war, where survival seemed impossible. As the chaos unfolded, only 2 cars remained in the race, Jensen's car and the cannonball car. They manage to drive fast and block the road in front of the armored car. Jensen and Cannon Face worked together and pressed a button on the skull. Suddenly, a pointed barrier appeared, causing the armored vehicle to collide with it. Parts of the vehicle went flying everywhere, provoking the angry Warden and exciting the cheering prisoners. Despite being opponents, Jensen and Cannon Face formed a friendship. However, the Warden had other plans. She decided that Jensen should die the next day. The guard, however, had a different opinion. He tried to convince the Warden that killing Jensen would reduce the views of the live broadcast. But the Warden assured him that she was in control and secretly sent a guard to place a bomb under Jensen's car. And that's where our story takes a thrilling turn. Hey there, middle schoolers! Get ready for an exciting story about two contestants named Jensen and Cannon. They find themselves in a race for their lives, where only one person can survive. The race starts off with a bang as the two cars speed up to a whopping 160 km per hour. Jensen, one of the contestants, tries to defend himself by pressing the shield button, but to his dismay, all of his car's weapons malfunctioned. Little did he know, it was the Warden who had disabled his car, while the other car continued to shoot at him, causing damage. Jensen, thinking on his feet, asks the girl with him to remove the steel shield protecting their car. Surprisingly, she manages to remove it, but Cannon, his opponent, skillfully dodges the shield. Cannon decides to use his deadly weapon, a rocket launcher, and destroys all the walls of the prison. Smoke fills the air, making it difficult for the Warden to see what's happening. Seizing the opportunity, both contestants manage to escape from the prison. They look at each other and share a victorious smile. This worries the Warden, who quickly closes the live broadcast and disables all the weapons in the cars. In a desperate attempt to stop Jensen, she presses the button to detonate the bomb under his car. Fortunately, Jensen's team had already removed the bomb from his car. The Warden, furious, orders the guards to catch the escaped contestants. Cannon distracts the guards, but the Warden is determined to capture Jensen and even orders them to kill him. Thankfully, the girl who is with Jensen decides to help him. She quickly distracts the guards, giving Jensen a chance to escape. Meanwhile, she comes out of the car wearing a mask, leaving the Warden puzzled. The Warden receives a small gift, and as she opens it, she discovers the bomb she had placed under Jensen's car. In a shocking turn of events, the bomb explodes, causing the Warden's demise. Jensen and Cannon, now free from the Warden's clutches, open their own car garage. As they stand in front of their garage, a car pulls up. The girl who was with Jensen in the race steps out of the car. The three of them have managed to survive and live their lives freely. And with that, our thrilling movie comes to an end. Thank you for joining us on this exciting adventure.